We are live for another session of the contributing author interviews with Dina Redinger and Sharon Weinstein. We're delighted to welcome you today to the Healing Healthcare Authors Tour. Nurses remain the backbone of healthcare, and little has been done or even studied to remedy a system in crisis. If this is not addressed now, humankind will suffer. This book is packed with solutions to the problems that plague our healthcare systems today. These are the problems that lead to troubling sentiments among prospective nurses. Nurse leaders share their experiences, their thoughts, their evidence, and strategies to ensure the health of our healthcare system. And what you will find within are actionable steps for fixing a system that is currently suffering in silence. We must, with your help, get this book into the hands of those making the decisions. But before we start, I want to acknowledge you and thank you for joining us. We have viewers from across the globe. Please use the chat and let us know where you're from. And if you see this in replay, you can still comment, and yes, we will respond. Today's guests, and I'm thrilled to death to welcome them, are Bonnie and Mark Barnes, co-founders of the Daisy Foundation and a part of our well-being section. Bonnie and Mark should need no introduction. Their story is profound and has set the standard and raised the bar for nurse recognition globally. They were retired when Mark's son Patrick, at age 33, developed the autoimmune disease ITP and passed away after 8 weeks in the hospital. Pat's death was a terrible surprise to his family. However, the nursing care they experienced compelled them to express their gratitude to nurses everywhere for the clinical skill and especially the compassionate care that nurses provide every single day. This is why the Barneses created the Daisy Foundation, an acronym for Diseases Attacking the Immune System, and the Daisy Award for Extraordinary Nurses. Today, the Daisy Award is celebrated in over 6,000 healthcare facilities and nursing schools in 39 countries. The Daisy Award provides healthcare leaders the means to highlight all the right that's going on in their organizations, providing great role modeling opportunities and a way to make tangible the organization's mission and values. We are so thrilled to welcome you, Bonnie and Mark Barnes.
Thank you, Sharon. It's our honor. We were so touched when you reached out to us and asked us to participate in what we know is going to be an incredibly impactful book and messages to nurse leaders around the world. So thank you for including us.
It's a pleasure. And Mark is joining us today via audio. He says he's a little camera shy. I somehow doubt that. But Mark, would you like to add to that intro?
Well, as I say all the time now, Sharon, I am older and wiser, so I tend to just agree with whatever Bonnie says. It makes life a lot easier.
Okay. If that works, that's fine. So then let me ask you a question, and it's a simple question we start out with all the time. When we developed the concept of healing healthcare, Dina Redinger and I invited you to participate. Could you share with me, please, why are you involved? What made you say yes?
Well, first of all, Sharon, I have never been able to say no to you for anything.
That's the right answer.
I would say going in, that was the number one thing. I have tremendous respect for the work that you do, and I knew that anything you put your name on and Dina put her name on would be something that was going to be a powerful tool for healthcare leaders. So I will tell you that's the number one reason. And I believed that the concept and the way you developed this by bringing in voices from throughout nursing and healthcare to address these key issues of well-being and wisdom and to bring this all to life and get these perspectives was so thoughtful. Why wouldn't we want to have our Daisy voice in there to elevate the important role that meaningful recognition plays in healing healthcare?
It's so true. That is so true. Now I'd like to ask you a question about the whole concept of meaningful recognition. When we hear the term meaningful recognition, we think immediately of the Daisy Foundation and the Daisy impact. I know that when I go into a hospital and I see that recognition on someone's pin or name badge, it brings a smile to my face. I feel so connected to that individual, and I know what they have gone through and what they have done to achieve and to earn that recognition. So tell us more about that, please, and why well-being for nurses is so vital in this process.
Well, first, I hope you understand, Sharon, that when Mark and I started this concept just about 25 years ago, right after Patrick died, we did not appreciate anything about impact on anyone except the impact on us. We needed to say thank you to the nurses who took care of Patrick and to nurses as a whole, because we felt our nurses were not unique. So we thought if we could say thank you in maybe 5 hospitals, we'd feel better and we could go back to doing what we were doing before Patrick got sick. But when we started to see the impact that being recognized was having on nurses, most importantly, when they heard the stories, particularly from patients and families, of the difference they were making, it was clearly changing the way that nurses were perceiving their practice. And understanding, knowing that they were making a difference was really tying them back to their purpose. And that's when we started to unfurl this whole concept about recognition as part of well-being. Nurses need to stay connected because of such a difficult career. Nurses need to stay connected to their purpose, to the reason why they started out on this journey to begin with. And those Daisy honoree nominations are really what help them stay connected by recognizing the difference they make.
But Sharon,
Well,
I
yeah.
need to add to that when we started, it was a very tough slog. I cannot tell you how many nurse leaders that Bonnie called and asked. We were paying for the program at that time, asked to have a recognition program, and the response was, "Our nurses don't need recognition." And this was so foreign to us because we came from an industry, entertainment and marketing industry, that recognition is just part of life. People feel better when they're recognized. So this was hard for us to overcome our own personal feelings that why weren't nurses being recognized? And bit by bit by bit, it started realizing, nurse leaders started realizing that when you pat somebody on the back and say, "Hey, you're doing a great job," they feel better. And it was just common sense, but there wasn't enough, quote, evidence in nursing to document that recognition was powerful. Now there is.
Of course there is. That totally overwhelms me, that statement, because you said that when you started out, it was a difficult ride to get into just 5 facilities, and you thought that if you could get into those, it would be a win. It would be a win for all, certainly for you,
Yeah.
certainly for the memory of Patrick, and certainly perhaps for those institutions if they got it.
Yeah.
Do you really think that the impetus, that what made them change their minds, that what made them get on the bandwagon, if you will, was the fact that a couple of their peers had done it, and maybe there was some recognition of those who had done it, and they
Yeah.
wanted to adopt that Me Too? Is that what it's all about?
Word of mouth wasn't the only tool that meant anything. A chief nursing officer telling another chief nursing officer about, "Gee, I just adopted this program. I never imagined that my nurses would love this as much as they do. I'm seeing this response. It's really making a difference." It was really nurse leaders who talking to each other that allowed it to grow, but it just took time and a little bit of persistence and a lot of
Yeah,
cold calling. But really we had some amazing pioneers who helped us get the word
yeah.
out.
And then it was the trust factor. They trust their peers. They
Yes.
trust people who have done it
Yeah.
and are getting their own recognition as a result of having done it,
Yeah. And they
and they
connect.
want to be a part of the process. They also, don't forget, nursing has been in a turmoil for years. We've always had a cyclical nursing shortage. So if someone is gaining staff as a result of having something that recognizes value,
Yeah.
then why not be a part of the process?
Absolutely. And I think they also saw the impact on patients and families, which has been a key issue for us. We knew what it meant to us to be able to say thank you, but when they started to see what it meant to their patients who were getting to say thank you by writing a nomination, bringing the patient or family member to the Daisy Award celebration, and the elevation and relationship that was so visible between that patient and that nurse, and therefore their organization, that became extremely important as well. So as Mark said, the evidence has been now profound, and we continue to drive that with research that we do because we care so much about ensuring that everyone understands meaningful recognition is really serving a purpose in nursing.
It certainly is. Yeah, we've talked about it again for so many years. but nothing ever really happens. You folks have really, started the bandwagon, started the process going where people thought about that a great deal. Your chapter is amazing. The message is so, so strong. If I had to ask you, what is the main takeaway from your chapter? One thought that will certainly lead to transformative change for our viewers and for others. And then I have a couple of guests on the line who really want to. I don't know how they're on this line instead of the other, but it doesn't matter. I think they're two people you perhaps have mentored. I know one of them was someone to whom I was introduced by you, so I'll let them on at the end as well. But if you would be so kind, they're both amazing, amazing gentlemen.
Oh,
So
wow.
what would be the takeaway? What thought that would lead to transformative change?
Well, we had 3 calls of action that we put into our chapter, and the one that if I had to choose among them, the one that I really we're very focused on right now is really having healthcare leaders call on the public to, as we are calling on the public, to ensure the public understands the incredible value and importance that nurses serve in our society, not just in taking care of us, but overall in our society. So we, in partnership with AARP, for example,
Right.
have got an initiative going on to make sure the public understands it's easy to say thank you to your nurse and why it's so important that you do that. So we are urging all of our partners that have the Daisy Award and honor nurses with our program to use their Daisy stories to reach out into their communities and ensure that the public appreciates, respects, and values nurses and wants to nominate. I know they want to say thank you, but give them an easy way to nominate nurses for the Daisy Award. So that's one of the key calls to action. Secondly, we have heard, and Mark's been on this bandwagon for years, nurses say to us over and over again, when they get the Daisy Award and they hear and read the impact that they've had on a family, oh, I didn't do anything special. I was just doing my
I
job.
always say that.
It is I tease nurses about where in the nursing curriculum did you learn to say that, because it is so commonly said. And what we're asking nurses to do is own the value, speak your message, speak your voice of the powerful effect you have and the role you play in healthcare. Do not underestimate and take for granted the work that means so much to us when we're in your care. And as Mark often says, when someone says to you, oh, it's nothing, and I've just poured my heart out to you about what you've done for me, you're negating the importance of what it means to me to say thank you to you. Just say thank you back, right? Accept it, take it in, and recognize the incredible value you serve in our society every day. So those are 2 really key messages for what we're trying to get out to nursing leaders and to the public and to nurses who get the Daisy Award.
I think sometimes as a nurse that it is difficult for us to realize that what we are doing, and I know they say it's part of their job, that what we are doing is beyond the scope of the job.
Yes.
Because there are so many of us who entered this profession for a purpose, and there is such joy in the profession that it just seems as if it fits. So going that extra mile, doing that extra thing, being there for someone, lending an ear, wiping a brow, just listening,
Yes,
makes all the difference in the world. But for many of us, it is a part of what we do. So I can imagine that it would be challenging for many nurses.
but
Well,
really, the Daisy. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Well, I was just going to say, Sharon, that the overwhelming number of nurses that are honored with the Daisy Award, it's not their clinical skill that is being honored. It's the
Right.
way the care was delivered. And that's what makes the difference between the nurse and everybody else, I guess. That it's the compassion that is there. And I really get on my soapbox on this. I didn't do anything special, because it is so bloody special of what a nurse is in the hours of need and the comfort. That's the person who delivers it. And it just, I get kind of emotional about it sometimes, because it really upsets me when they say I didn't do anything special.
It's the advocacy, it's the comfort, the compassion, the voice that nurses give their patients when patients don't have a voice. It's so rich of what nurses do. This doesn't happen in every career in the universe.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I was just thinking about that. in sales or in something else, you could not even imagine having that opportunity
Yeah.
to share the moment with someone in the moment.
Yeah.
That makes a huge difference in their lives as well as in yours. So you're right, it is the compassion, it is the empathy, it is the advocacy, it is the navigation, it is taking people through what they need to go through to be able to master the process. And let's face it, our healthcare system is very challenging. If you ever show up at a hospital without an advocate, it's pitiful just thinking about what might happen.
Yeah. So, and it's about the relationships that nurses create so naturally with patients and with their families. And that's what we really want to honor, celebrate, emphasize, and make nurses understand they are truly unique.
And so valued, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So very valued. It's just amazing to me. Mark, when you were speaking, I could feel your voice. I could feel the passion, you know, how important that was to you to recognize the fact that you folks probably would not be where you are today without that level of compassionate care that others provided for you and your family.
Oh,
They
no
made a
question.
difference.
No question about that.
The
And,
nurses
and
were,
I think I'm just going to say it, as we often say, the people expect the clinical skill. That's their nurses. They
It's a
expect
given.
that. It is a given. You know you're going to get clinical skill, but it's the little extras. I don't know how to explain it other than it's the compassion that those nurses show that separates them.
and to your point, Sharon, it's also the healing process that patients and families have. We have healed largely because of what nurses have done for us over the last 25 years, starting with those 20 some odd nurses who cared for Patrick in the hospital for those 8 weeks. It's so much, being able to say thank you is so much a part of our healing process. And we know this from not only from the 2.7 million nominations we know have been written so far, but also from the interviews that we do with people who write nominations, and they talk about why they did it, why they took the time to pour their hearts out. It's not just doing it for the nurse, it's doing it for them as well.
Yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is. If it's okay with you, I'm going to allow Benjo and Ian both to speak.
How fun.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Sharon. It's just nice to be here. And like I said, send my gratitude for being even invited to participate for this very important project. It's just such a great honor, and I can't wait to really get this to all the hands of the nurses and all the people working in healthcare. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And I know that both of you, Ian and Benjo, are huge fans of Bonnie and Mark. Huge fans. Yeah, as are all of us.
Oh,
So we're
thank you.
thrilled.
We're humbled.
Well, as all good things must come to an end, unfortunately, this too has to come to an end. And it's time for a close and an invitation for our viewers to join us again as we welcome another one of your peers to the program, another contributing author. For now, we want to take this opportunity to thank you, Bonnie and Mark. You have done something so outstanding. You have made a huge difference in the lives of so many nurses worldwide. But in addition to that, in the lives of those who are responsible for the healthcare infrastructure, because they too are now aware that there is something bigger than just the system and the process and the budget and finance. We all know that healthcare is a business, but we also know that the difference between that and another kind of a business is that the commodities with which we're dealing are human lives and human happiness, neither of which should ever be compromised.
Exactly.
You have shared that message, and we
That was
truly
very well
appreciate and
said.
value what you've done. Thank you.
you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Mark.
Sharon. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week, folks. Please join me in thanking Bonnie and Mark Barnes of the Daisy Foundation. Thank you. Bless
Thank
you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.